splitting up of Nigeria into 3 regions, an arrangement that denied the legitimate aspirations of the people of the Midwest, is ended. Now, a Midwest region has been created as a result of the plebiscite of July 1963. Campaigning for its establishment, Dr. Okpara, the Premier of the East, was greeted by Chief Dennis Osadebe, the leader of the Midwest State Movement, when he arrived at Asaba. It was the beginning of a 12-day tour for the Premier, who was accompanied by Mrs. Okpara. The federal and all the regional legislatures had voted for the new region. It now remained to find out the wishes of the people themselves. At Ogwashi Uku, the crowds gathered to welcome the Premier. Dr. Obona was there. The Premier was to pay a sincere tribute to Chief Osadebe, speaking of him as a man who had done more than anybody else for the creation of the new state. He appealed to the people of the Midwest not to be complacent or adopt a negative attitude to the problem. The new state would be the fulfillment of a promise made by his party in 1959, he said. And then the Asaba women dancers entertained their visitors. On the following day at Abo, the people were excitedly awaiting the arrival of the Premier. He was to address a mass rally. Dr. Okpara is, of course, the national president of the NCNC, and his wish to see the new region created springs from a desire to achieve equal opportunities for all the peoples of Nigeria. Women of his party danced their way to the rally. Mrs. Adama Okpara received a tremendous welcome, and so did Dr. Mbalogo, chairman of the Eastern Working Committee, Dr. Obona and Mrs. Janet Mokelo. It was at this rally that Dr. Okpara announced that there would be a general amnesty for all those people who had offended or victimized others during the struggle for the creation of the Midwest state. Their past political record would be forgotten. He said, what is wanted at the moment is a massive support for the new state, which will not be built on hatred, because we want love, peace, and harmony. And then the campaign party moved on by car to Abraka. As every place visited, the people gave them a sincere and traditional welcome. An address of welcome was read and then presented to the Premier. Dr. Okpara talked to the large crowd, pointing out the advantages which would come with the setting up of the new state. Mr. Yamsi, the NCNC leader from the north, was present as the Premier appealed to everybody to vote in the plebiscite on July 13th. At Amai, there was another splendid welcome. Later, the people were to confer a chieftaincy on the Premier before he drove on to Usoro. Here, it was students who welcomed the party. The creation of the new state would be particularly important to the younger people because the opportunities for them will be greatly increased. Next, to the Urobo division, where a rally was held in the Uwele Council Hall. It was to be another steering meeting. The chairman of Nigerian Airways, Chief Dafe, was among the speakers, and the Premier and members of the campaign party greeted the audience. The Honorable R. Okafor caused some amusement, and then came the main speech, the Premier's. Again, he extolled the advantages of the new state, which will mean the setting up of a new regional parliament and the appointment of a governor. Mr. Mopugo Okoye was among the large crowd who heard Dr. Obona wind up the meeting. At Warri, it was the same story of joy and welcome. The Bende War dancers performed. Once again, Dr. Okpara spoke to the huge crowds. He was tireless in pressing the cause of the 2 million people who up till then had only a minority status. Dr. Okpara and his party then traveled by launch to Western Ijaw. It was a brief but pleasant break in the intensive program of public meetings. At Bumadi, people lined the banks to catch a glimpse of the Premier of the East. Everybody seemed to have turned out to greet him. Dr. Okpara told the people of Bumadi that after the creation of the Midwest State, a realistic view would be taken to solve their social and economic problems. He urged them, therefore, to vote yes in the plebiscite. The time came to leave Bumadi and move on to Patani, where the chiefs were presented. Again, there was another big rally, and most of the people of the area attended it. Chief Dafe opened the speeches, and he was followed by Chief Zumo Efeke. In the audience was Madam Yerema Bala. Then the Commissioner for Degema, Mr. Prela, addressed the meeting, reinforcing the previous arguments for the establishment of a fourth region. Chief Festus Okotiebo was with the Premier at Sapele. Chief Festus is the political advisor to the Midwest State Movement. His work has had considerable influence on the growth of the movement. Vast crowds heard the address of welcome delivered. The Premier's wife, Mrs. Adamo Akbara, said the referendum was the end of the journey of a decade and an example of the people's maturity. She urged everybody to vote massively in support of the new region. Her husband asserted that the state would constitute a citadel of progress and unity for the people of the Midwest, and he urged them to avail themselves of the opportunity which the plebiscite would offer. Ishan Division came next, and the Onoge of Iwohimi welcomed the campaigners. The Onoge himself read the address of welcome, and then, as the crowds listened attentively, the Premier replied. He paid a sincere tribute to the Onoge, saying he had never met a more steadfast and truthful man or a person with greater courage. Dr. Okoje showed the white yes box. And then there was masquerade dancing by the river's people. Dr. Okpara posed with Alhaji Isuman and other Ishan leaders before driving on to Jatu in Afemai Division. Dr. Okpara brought good news. News that a cement factory would be erected in the Jatu area. It should, he said, wipe out unemployment there. The chief imam spoke next. Everywhere, the idea of setting up a Midwest state seemed to be meeting with the approval of the people themselves. At Ogume, in Abo Division, a women's rally was held, and Dr. Okpara addressed it. His wife was one of the principal speakers, and she reiterated the importance of setting up the new region. Chief Oputa Otutu interpreted for his people as Mrs. Mokelo explained the importance of the new state. At Benin Council Hall, Chief the Honorable Omar Sagia, the ESA of Benin and deputy leader of the Midwest State Movement, was the first speaker. The address of welcome was read by Oba Akenswa of Benin. Mr. Atta, chairman of NCNC Northern Nigeria, was present. The next speaker speaker was Chief the Honorable Dennis Osadebe, the movement's president. Mr. Kensington Momo of the Action Group took part. His presence underlined the all-party support which the project was receiving. A brass carving was presented to Dr. Okpara. Then the Premier spoke. Always, he re-emphasized that the principle of self-determination was the reason why the NCNC solidly supported the creation of the new state. His party stood, he said, for the emancipation of the people of Africa. And so, the campaigning over, the day of the plebiscite came. July the 13th was to be a big day for the people of the Midwest, and they queued up to make their wishes clear. 60% yes votes were required before the new state could be set up. Every precaution was taken to make sure that nobody voted twice. Chief Osadebe came to put his vote in the white box to forward the cause for which he has worked so long and so selflessly. He it was who had been the driving force behind the Midwest State movement, and now was the moment of decision. And then the news came through. The yes boxes were winning. Polling day was a great day for everybody. It was a landslide victory for the new state. The battle was won. The new state would be set up. Nigeria would have a fourth region. Dr. Okpara's telegram to Chief Osadebe, soon to be appointed the administrator of the new region, summed up everybody's joy. As a new era of tolerance, fair play, humane and good government dawns in the Midwest, he said, I have no doubt that with hard work, only the sky is the limit to the people's prosperity. Good luck to you all.